Welcome to the Better Outcomes podcast, where we discuss all things leadership, sales, and communication in Australian business. At Better Outcomes Training, we provide world-class training solutions for businesses who want to arm their teams with cutting-edge skills to lead better, sell better, and enjoy more success, purpose, and profit from the work they do. For a full breakdown of all the courses we offer, visit www.better-outcomes.com.au. There's also a link in the description. Now, on to today's podcast. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. How are we today? This is... I'm going to start that one again. What a shock.
I was going to say, this is not live, because
I've been on holiday way too long. Who do I think I am?
Go for it, my man.
Another episode of the Better Outcomes Training Podcast. I've wound Paulie off the end already. Something horrid, folks. He's there laughing. I don't know if we got a split screen or what. My editing's not that good, but he's in tears. This is my second go at the intro, and it's not going well. Paulie, how are you today?
Cuz I'm good. I'm happy to be here, bro. I'll be honest, and this is a pre-frame, a pre-warning for everybody. I've battled this whole week with this flu, and it's hit me for a 6, and I'm on some medication as well. So this this webinar might get a little bit animated, but I'm battling with this flu. But yeah, it's been a pain in the ass. You know, it's like literally you think that when they say when you're healthy you got a million wishes, when you're ill you've only got one wish. You know, and
yes.
That's something I'm dealing with at the moment. But happy to be here. So happy to be here. I think that when you're ill and you take time out just to relax, your brain goes to different places. So it's good to be here, and good to be here with you and everybody listening to this as well. An opportunity to hopefully add some fantastic value. But more about yourself, mate. What's going on? You're on location today?
Yeah, still on location. Still got a couple of weeks left on location. And I am the poster child for what you just spoke about in terms of when you've got time to relax, your brain just works overtime. And that's what it's been doing for me here. I've been in Bali for a little bit over a month now with my wife.
Amazing.
And doing some cool stuff, but just my brain, the body's got to rest, but my brain's chomping at the bit to get back into stuff, bite everything off. And it's curious, very curious. And just wants to know everything about everything. So I won't relax. But
it's a good place to be, brother. It's a good place to be, rather than, just settling,
It is. And that's something I'm going to talk to you about today, and see if we can bust it open a little bit. I want to talk about community and like finding your tribe, surrounding yourself with the kind of people that you think are going to add value to your future journey, which I think comes back to something that me and you have been through over the last couple of years, in terms of maybe you're a bit sick of where you are and you want to go and be somewhere else or be a different person, or you've got some dreams and goals that you want to accomplish, but that means finding new people and surrounding yourself with new people and becoming, making new friendship groups and maybe leaving some old ones behind. It can be a tough time and it can be very stressful, a very, very mentally draining process. I think there's quite a bit to this one, in terms of how you kind of picture yourself and you hold yourself back in ways, and maybe you've got friends who hold yourself back too, but you want to go out there and do things. Now, I know you've got a bit of experience in this. We both have. We'll get to it early. We'll get this out of the way. We do it every week. We're going to go straight into jiu-jitsu. About a couple of years ago, we found an awesome community, unexpectedly, when we joined Rise Jiu-Jitsu martial arts. And it was quite an eye-opener to me about how small tribes can work and how changing your community can have such a massive shift in your mindset and your well-being. You agree with that?
I would, Cuz, I would. But before we get into that detail, I'd like to put you on the spot and just ask you a little bit more detail with regards to this. But why would you? Let's say that if I wanted better outcomes in my life, and when I mean by that, I want to get results that I'm currently not getting. I'm not just trying to drop the name of the business in there. But why would the people I associate with be so important with regards to the outcomes that I'm getting in life? Why would the people I associate with be so important? What's your take on that?
Well, there's the old adage, isn't it? If you lie down with dogs, you get fleas, and you know you can be the sum of those around you. You can be in a certain bubble. Humans are very status driven in terms of wanting to belong to certain groups,
Yeah.
and getting out and breaking out of those groups can be quite difficult at times. So trying to change your circumstances and surround yourself with different people can be quite difficult, especially in terms of fitting in with that new group and leaving bits of you behind that you may not want to be anymore.
Yeah, I think you're quite right there. I think human beings were big gregarious by nature, and also I think that there's certain aspects with regards to pressure on us to behave in a certain way that often comes from that peer group, and peer group is, I think, consciously or subconsciously going to have a big impact on us as well. So yeah, I think you're quite right there with regards to your point there of the people that you associate with often can dictate the outcomes or quality of life that you have. I would say that would be a big part there.
Especially if you're trying to shift your goals and your direction on where you're going, surrounding yourself with people who are already doing that or going in the same direction can be such a positive influence and give you such a motivation to make, to continue on. It's hard to explain until you've actually experienced it. It's one thing to go out and do stuff by yourself, but when you get a community of like-minded people around you, there's like a real, it's like a tide, it's like a current that can pull you along in ways that you're not expecting. Yeah.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. Being in a tide or a current is going in that direction.
Because you don't always see a lot of the things, you can't always, and you say it yourself, you always try and see the world from other people's point of view.
Yeah.
So when you're going along, if you surround yourself with like-minded people, they've all got different views as well of which way you should go, and that just helps to build a more worldly view.
Absolutely. So back to the jiu-jitsu analogy there. What is the aspects that you look for in that community? That community is the community specific. What makes that community such a valuable community in your life and certainly in mine as well?
Geez, I don't know. There's no ego there for starters. A very humble crew there, and it's all based around doing something that's very hard. Doing hard things. We always talk about when I do talk about a lot when you're looking for a connection with someone, you're looking to get good communication with someone. Finding that one thing in common is key. Getting on those mats and spending time with those people, learning, doing really hard things together is something that it's hard to explain, but there's a real sense of achievement, real bonding to it once you've experienced it, and becomes addictive so quickly.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, mate. I think that there's a lot of people with phenomenal character on those mats that we train with, and I think there's something to be said for, to your point there, that when people go through by choice, you go through adversity by choice, I think that creates a lot of good character in someone. You're choosing to be on those mats, you're paying money to be on those mats, and you're doing it to put yourself through a particular challenge. And you're quite right, man. At the end of the session, we've trained for an hour and a half, we've rolled, free rolled for maybe half an hour, and every single person is absolutely gassed, and you've all tapped out, and you're all, but that feeling of connection, and I think there's a combination between doing difficult stuff voluntarily, putting yourself against somebody else in a position where, you're trying to put somebody in a position where they can effectively, say, okay, I'm done. And you're trying to make them quit, and they're trying to make you quit as well. But here's the other thing as well. I think adversity creates unity. as well. I really think that adversity, when you go through a challenge like that, a real challenge, when you're going through that with somebody, I think that there's a real connection that happens between people. And you know that this person is not just going to back away from a situation. I think a lot of the time as well, we want to know that we've got people that we can rely on around us. But actually, you know what? Particularly if we are going for something big in life, because if you're going to go for something that's big in life, a real big challenge, a big goal, something huge, by definition, almost by definition, there's going to be big risks associated with that as well. Okay. So the bigger the goal you're going for, the bigger the risks you're going to face. And I'm thinking about this as well, is that if you're going for big goals, you really want to turn your life around from wherever you are to wherever you want to be. And, sometimes there's people making 180-degree shifts in those types of environments. We have a saying in South Africa, which is, and it's in Xhosa, and it goes, if something along the lines of, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a crew. Okay, or go with people. Yeah. But if you're on a pathway towards really going after something huge, there is going to be, with definition, there's going to be risk there as well. And if there's risk, if you can have people along there that are going to have your back and support you on that, that's a hell of a feeling, man. That's a hell of a feeling. And it's just come to me now thinking about this. It's like, if, the people that listen to this podcast, these are people who are taking time out voluntarily to listen to this. And almost by definition, there are people who want to get those better outcomes in life. And, they know that there's going to be some degree of risk. And if you're going to try and do it alone, it's going to be rough because, you can't be strong all the time. Sometimes you're going to be exhausted. And that's when you've got people around you. But I think that the other aspect of this, and I think something that's crucial, and for anybody who's really looking to make a shift, is you've got to have people with character around you. You've got to have people that are dependable, trustworthy, and they have that character. They're aligned. And I think that the mats don't lie, man. They really don't lie,
And you want people who are honest as well. Sorry, mate. You want those people as trustworthy people next to you. You want them to have fair amount of honesty. And that goes both ways. So that they can call you out on the things that maybe you're missing, maybe your blind spot, maybe those little spots you can't see. Yeah, they can call you out on that, and you can trust their judgment.
Absolutely.
And in terms of, hey, listen, Cuzzy, you're not doing too good on this. All right, sweet. I can trust that from you, and it just helps you with that path. It really does. Gives you that confidence that we all fall over, we all have our bad days, but knowing that you've got someone there, or people there, there for you, mate. Rain, hail, shine, pick you up, pick up the phone, mate, I'm on my way. Yeah. Even just for a chat is something that gives you a real sense of belonging, and it gives you a real sense of security as well, I think.
Absolutely. And again, I think that the level of connection you start having with people there, you care about people, you care about, you have a vested interest in looking after each other in that type of environment. And I think it's something that is so important. It's something that a family should be. But again, we all know sort of situations where people have had, they haven't had that as part of the family. And it's like, that's why I think these, particularly a place like Rise, but I think a fair few other jiu-jitsu places as well, from what I've heard, is these are almost like family that you choose. It's the closest thing a lot of people have got to that supportive type family, which I think is absolutely phenomenal,
Exactly. Like a home away from home. And if you think about it that way. So how do we start? If we want to break it down, you're in a spot where you've got you've got to a point in your life where you want to move in a different direction. I guess you'd have to start with a fair amount of soul searching and work on some what we call like personal development, self-improvement, to get to your desired goal. Now, the way I think about it is something that you taught me. It's from the sales world. It's called gap selling, where you think about the client where they are now, their dream scenario, and then it's up to the salesperson to make those two meet or get them there. May not even be what they realize. What we talked about this before, gap selling. That's kind of the way I looked at this when I went through a little bit of a process myself. Is that something that you'd encourage people to do, or think of it that way, or is there another way, your strategy you prefer?
Yeah, I think, listen, I think the first thing is, they say if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. But if you, I think a lot of the time people, especially if they're starting out, and certainly with my experience, I think when I started out, I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but I knew exactly what I didn't want. And what I didn't want was what I was dealing with at that particular time. And I think that I think that human beings get to a certain level where, for whatever reason, something can click. And it's like, you know what? I need to make a change. And very often you can see this, you can often see this with people with weight loss, or the weight loss scenario. If I'm in a situation where I know that I need to lose some weight, it's like, yeah. It's like, it's not that much of a priority. And try and put my jeans on, and my jeans don't fit. It's like, to hell with this. Enough is enough. Now I need to make that change. But I think that people have that in life as well. They get to a level, and it's just like, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. I need to move forward. I need to make this the step. So I think that the first thing, my brother, is getting an idea of not so much what you don't want, although that's a good start, because that's in a way motivating factor, which often can drive a lot of behavior, especially straight out the blocks. And there's a little bit of that angry energy, which, people tell you is not healthy. But listen, it starts a fire sometimes, huh? Yeah. And it's like, to hell with this, enough is enough. I need to move forward with this. And then getting an idea of where you want to get to. So what's the direction you want to do? Is it health related? Is it financially related? Is it career related? Do you want to start a business? Do you just want to move out of your neighborhood? What do you want to do? Do you want to move to a different country? What is it? So at least then you've got some direction of where you want to get to. And then I think from there, it's like, okay, I know where I want to go. Now, who can I surround myself with? Who's already in that situation that I can surround myself with to get around? Now, I think, as to your point there as well, there's something that a lot of people, they either don't realize it, or they don't take this on board as much as they should. And that is this realization. And this is, I've seen, and I think either you can give this to yourself, or someone else can give this to you. And I've seen people give it to other people, and it's called a front stab, not a back stab, a front stab. And that's where somebody actually tells you, listen, they tell you what's up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, the realization I think that people have to take on often is, if you want to associate with a certain group of people, and you want these people to be in your peer group, and you want them to start wanting to hang out with you and spend time with you, here's the crazy bit. You have to start becoming the kind of person that's going to keep those good people around.
Yeah.
And one thing I have to say on this, and I'm saying it and I'm putting it out there because I see people falling into this trap for whatever reason. But I think that there's people who want to associate with people who they're not currently not associating with, but they're still doing things that almost repel those people that they want to associate with. And one of those aspects particularly is what I'm going to call, they're acting in a way that is maybe not in good character, okay? And they're doing things like saying that they'll do certain things and they don't do them, or giving their word on something, or letting somebody down, or expecting something without giving something. And I think it's a rough situation, because we if we want to associate with people who are currently outside of our peer group, we have to have some credibility in their eyes, because they're busy people as well. And I'm just saying it as I call it now. And I know it's very direct in what I'm saying, but it's people start to see this. And remind me to come back to this context in a business context just now, because I'll come back to this, but I'm going to tell you this.
I'll write it down, people, and make sure we come back to this one.
This situation. This takes me back to when I was in hostel. In hostel, this is not going back too many years, okay? Going back to hostel. And I was in the hostel there, and we were all a bit messed up in hostel.
Really?
And we were all a bit messed up. And we were sitting there one afternoon, and I remember
By hostel, you're
There's
talking South African boarding school hostel, yeah?
Yeah, these two kids sitting in front of me, and this one goes, this it was Baywatch was on. Baywatch was on.
All right.
And there was what was her name? Pamela Anderson, I think Pamela Anderson. And one of the guys turns to one of the guys makes this comment. He goes, just like my bro. Pamela Anderson is so hot, I should get a girlfriend like that. And the other guy turns around to him and looks at him and goes, what, you? He goes, she would never go out with you, bro. Check you out. But he basically laid into this guy saying that she could do much better than him. and it was like the most brutal front stab I think I've ever seen. It's like, bro, you got to do so much better, man. Look, she's not going to break into your house whilst you're sitting here watching MacGyver, okay? and want to sort of Netflix and chill with you, you know what I'm saying? And it was the most brutal front stab that I've ever remembered from this whole thing of you're going to make yourself better. Now, this guy actually, incidentally enough, went on to do some very good things, and I know he's very happily married now. And you know, but it was a great insight to sort of say to somebody, listen, if you want to be realistic here, you have to change who you are. You have to change what you do. And I'm not talking, if anybody gets their knee-jerk reaction, oh, I'm not going to change my values for anybody. Okay, all right, cool. Not your values and your beliefs or anything, but you have to be the type of person that person wants to associate with. Because, until that happens, it's, why ain't no Pamela Anderson breaking into your house and coming to watch MacGyver with you. I'll tell you that much.
That's right. And well, you're right. It's like you said, some people, maybe they're stuck and it's like they're living the same 6 months over and over again, or you want to lose weight and your jeans don't fit and all that. You've got to understand that you've got to choose the point. Like a lot of people have that they think that to be they look at someone who's, or they want to be this dream person, and they've got to have some stuff first. They've got to have certain things, like they've got to have more money or more time or more experience or something. So then they can start to do the things that person does. So then they can be that person.
Yeah.
But they got it around the wrong way. Like what you said, you've got to try and be that person. You've got to start becoming that person first. You've got to start thinking like them. You've got to start acting like them. You've got to start, breaking down the values and the directions and what those people want. So then you can start doing what they do, and then all of a sudden you'll have it.
Becoming the type of person you would want to associate with, yeah?
Yeah. They're looking at it the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Wow.
They're looking that they've got to have those things first before they can start being that person. Whereas if you really think about it, you just start being that person. What's that person like? What's maybe the dream for myself in 2 years is to take a year off and travel the world, right? Well, what's that person going to? I've got to start doing that now. I have to start putting some money away. I'm going to have to start getting into pretty good shape because it's going to be quite taxing being, maybe on my own for a whole year traveling. I've got no one to support. So you've got all those things. You've got to start breaking it down and becoming that person rather than waiting until you've got enough money or you've got some time to think about it. You've got to start thinking about it the other way. Yeah, does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, mate. And you just reminded me of an old saying I heard, which was something along the lines of, you have to become that person way before you see it in your bank account. You have to become that person with their values and beliefs, or being that person of good character way before you start seeing it in your bank account. So it's you're right on that. And I think that often as well, it's like you find people who get that outcome that you're after, but then they can lose it all and they can build it back pretty quickly because they've become that type of person as well.
It's the journey. Yeah. They'll fall in love with the journey and the process of what they're doing. And they no longer look at it at what they get to have. They just like being that person. They just like, becoming a better person. So that's where I think people should start. They should have a think about really what they want to do.
Yeah.
Their goal, whatever it is, weight loss, business related, maybe it's personal development or whatever you want to be inside a couple of years. Because like you said, sitting right here, right now is what you dreamed of being 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Or decisions that you made 6 months ago that got you here.
Yeah.
Good or bad, you're the one who did it. You know what I mean? So what can you do in 6 months? Think about it that way. So 6 months, 2 years, set yourself a plan, break it down into little achievable goals, start heading that way. That's the advice I'd start with. And then think about, like you said, think about the type of people who do that. What do they do? Where do they hang out? How do you associate with them? And how do I need to start fitting into that group?
Absolutely.
Then and you brushed up against the friendship. One thing I think people have to understand is when you get life changing, when you start changing your direction, and I went through this, changed a fair bit of stuff about what I was doing and who I was. I was sick of living that same 6 months. Yeah. So I was really worried that there was some long-term friends and family, as far as that goes, quite a few members of family that wouldn't like me anymore.
Yeah.
Especially when I gave up drinking.
Yeah.
And that was accidental. I accidentally gave up drinking. I should have done it years ago, but I was really worried about what that would mean for quite a few of my relationships, family and friends. And it wasn't until I spoke to a couple of people, one of the good mates, a big fella at jiu-jitsu, he was quite a fountain of knowledge for me and gave me quite a few really good insights and motivated me around it, because it taught me that I was putting so much pressure on myself I was avoiding people so that they wouldn't have to have a conversation about why I wasn't drinking anymore.
Wow. Okay.
I was worried about losing their friendship, because their friendship meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And then I realized, well, if it's their problem, like if they're worried about me not drinking, then that's on them, not on me. I can't be held responsible. That's out of my control. And I wasted a fair bit of energy down that.
And how have you found that now you're X number of months further down the line with regards to those friendships that you were worried about? What's been the upshot of it? How's it actually played out? Because it plays out in our minds one way, and that's perfectly normal. But what's your experience actually been like?
So much more horrible in my mind. Couldn't have been a more opposite result from what my mind played it up as. No one seemed to care. It gave me a little bit of grief every now and then. Oh, really? Oh, that's good. Yeah. And just breezed on. And I built something up in my mind so bad that it was nearly crippling at some stage.
Really?
I mean, that's not always everyone's experience.
Yeah.
But I think people have to realize that you're going to leave friends and family behind. And that's just a natural part of life.
Yeah.
Life. If you're lucky, you'll have long-term friends, long time. But the amount of, if I think back to friends, best friends and really close mates, I've had heaps over the years. And just the way life moves, you move countries, you move jobs, you get married, you start a different relationship, life gets in the way. We all know that. And, you kind of go through these ebbs and flows. But I think one thing that you can think of when you're moving into a new friendship group, and you're on this kind of path, is you can take the pieces of you that you want and leave the rest for that friendship group. I've got a couple of different groups of friends.
Yeah.
Certain friendship groups of mine only see certain parts of me. Helps me not only associate with them, but there's other parts that are like private to me that I don't need to take along. So if you're looking to change your path, change your journey, and you've got these new friends and friendship groups, you can just take the parts along with you that you like. And the bits that you don't like, the bits that you've grown to hate, you can leave those behind.
Yeah.
And move on and grow and develop that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you don't have sort of, I suppose when you go into those new friendship groups, you don't have the expectations that other people have on you. And I think if you have like an old established friend group, they've known you for a long time, they've got certain expectations of you. And I think that, if you look into this, we very often act in a way that we believe other people expect us to act. This is why peer pressure is so powerful, particularly before we have a strong sense of identity or who we are. I think that when you form a new group, a new friendship group, you can almost become who you want to become. And I think it's interesting because I think that then that group starts to see you as somebody with very different values and beliefs potentially to what other people thought of you in the past.
Yeah.
And I think that starts becoming a very strong environment to start building a more positive self-image of yourself as well,
Yeah.
Our self-image, our values and beliefs around ourselves will very often dictate what we'll actually do as well.
That's right. And further to your point where you said if you want to go alone, if you're going this alone, it can be a very hard track.
Yeah.
But if you're doing precisely what you said then and bring along the bits of you that you want, the bits of you that you want to change to the new friendship group, you won't want to let those people down by sliding back into your old bad habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really motivated, to not be that person anymore and to do this and just project this, then that's a good way. You get good community around you and good people and just keep sending out those positive vibes. That's really motivating.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. No, I agree with that. Kaz, what would you say to somebody now who is sitting there listening to this and saying, well, it's all very, very right for you, for you, Loader, because you've done this, and this, but I can't achieve that particular outcome X, Y, and Z. And what I'm talking about now is and I see this happen so often, and it's something I have a huge issue with for reasons that maybe we'll get into. But people who say they have aspirations of getting better outcomes, but they legitimately give themselves a reason why they can't achieve it, particularly something in the past, something that's happened in the past, what have you. They didn't go to university, didn't go to trade school, what have you, or any other aspect that they put out the reason, well, they can't achieve it because of X, Y, and Z. What's your take on that? What's your take on why people do that, firstly? And secondly, what would your answer be to anybody who's currently thinking about that right now? Give themselves a reason why they can't progress, because they listen to what you're saying, they like what you're saying, but they're saying, well, it's fine for you, Loader, because of X, Y, and Z, but I can't do it because of A, B, C. What would your response be to them?
Geez, you're looking for an excuse, aren't you? Comfort zone's hard to get out of, man.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's this stuff that we're talking about. It's easy to sit here and talk about it. It's very hard to do. And it's very hard to do consistently day after day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all these building new habits. It really is. And if you're going to sit there and say, I can't do it because of this and I can't do it because of that, it's kind of like what is it now? Victimhood mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where, oh, Paul, woe is me. I can't do that because of, X, Y, and Z. You can do it, cuzzy. You've got all this and you've got all that and I haven't, I can't do that. But you're looking for excuses. The only person I can sit here and rant and rave all I want, but the only person who can change what you want to do is you. Probably heard that millions of times, but you sit down and think about it. You're where you are today because of decisions you've made. And bad things happen to people.
Yep.
Car crashes, you lose your job, lose your house, heaven forbid you lose a limb or a loved one or something. Life goes on. You've got to try and slowly change. It's not 180-degree shift. Sometimes it works. There's so many people out there who've lost heaps of weight, who have built themselves back from nothing, and they've done it through slow steps and have done it pretty much off their own back. Decided one morning, get up, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do 10 push-ups a day. Whatever it is, it's small steps, but you've got to take it on yourself. You really do. You know what I mean?
What do you think? I agree completely, but I'd like your insight on this as well. You use the term the victim mentality or victim mindset. What happens to somebody who stays in that position? They sit there, they've got aspirations, they want to do something better, but they've got that mentality they can't because of A, B, and C. What happens to those people? What do you reckon actually happens? Give it 6 months, 10 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. What do you reckon it does? Because I see this so much, and it absolutely breaks my heart, man.
Oh, it does.
I see it. It kills me when I see it.
It does. It's I see it quite often, and it's terrifying because you end up you're in the same place forever, making the same excuses. Little things will change, but then the excuses become more. The load gets bigger, the load gets heavier. Misery loves company, and the human brain's negatively wired.
Yeah.
It'll find it. You don't need any help to find what's wrong with you. Your brain will tell you things like this.
Yeah.
Piece of cake. So once you're in that mindset and that negative, I guess you call it victim mentality, it's so hard to break. And it's so easy to stay there and blame other people for it.
What happens to your personality when you're around people like that? And what happens to your personality when you're telling yourself that?
When you're telling yourself that, when I'm around people like that, it's hard. I just try and point out good things to them that they've done in the past, and positives, and try and stay that way. I've been in that position myself where you know there's no out, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and it's hard to break. Luckily, are good people around me. Yeah, otherwise, it's tough. It's a tough spot, bro.
I think speaking personally, and I can only speak personally on this stuff, but I think that, and I've had people very close to me who've battled with this, and I mean, it becomes, I think, something very dark, very, very, very dark. And I think it starts contaminating the body and the mind as well. I really think it does. I think it becomes absolutely brutal, because if I give all the reasons why I can't achieve a better outcome, and I believe it, I can nearly guarantee I'm not going to achieve that outcome. But secondly, the negativity, the malice, the anger, the hatred, the resentment, I think it builds up. And certainly I went through a long time like that, and I would, just cut myself off in a lot of different ways. But it contaminates the body. And that's probably the best term I can use for it. But I think it becomes toxic, and it's self-contained. And I think it becomes very easy to hate, and very easy to find meaning in negative things that you do, or negative things that you say when you're in that frame of mind. I think it's absolutely brutal. And the craziest thing is, I think when I'm talking to people about, if I'm in that state and woe is me, and then I have people who say, oh, there, yes, poor you. There's almost some degree of validation in that moment, which almost makes me want to stay in that place.
Yeah.
And I think it's brutal, because effectively then it's like I'm getting some degree of short-term reward for a pat on the head there, you're right to be outraged, but I don't get any better outcome. And I become worse and worse and worse. And that darkness becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm convinced of this, man. And I think it really it destroys people. And you find people who've offended you all over the place. You start looking for them, and it's not good to be around people like that, man.
No, you've said it yourself. You start to see patterns.
Yeah.
You can see a pattern in it. And I remember back to when I was in times like that, the smallest things I wanted to do had the biggest hurdles. My brain would go,
wow,
oh, you can't do that because of that. And it became insurmountable. My brain, my inner self-talk he was so good at it. He's come up with some cool things over the years, my buddy. But it would, instead of being a small, I couldn't do something, it would become huge.
Yeah.
And just dead end that positive thought straight away.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't do this because of that. And it's a monstrous thing. So now that's why now I'm a big advocate of, if you want to change something, you have to start small.
Yeah.
It has to be, because perfect example, you look at a mountain, you can't climb a mountain in one go. You can't climb it in one step. You can't. There's no point even trying. And that's what your brain says. I want to go to the top of that mountain. Your brain's like, well, you can't do that. But you can if you do it one little step at a time. You might trip and fall down a little bit again.
Yeah.
Get up, go again. So that's why I'm a big advocate, especially with habit forming and new habits and changing direction. Write out your goals, figure out what it is, and then work backwards from them and do little, small, achievable goals. Only has to be daily goals, hourly,
Yeah.
And slowly build on that and drag your way out of it.
What do you reckon about this, Cuz, in your experience? Because again, I mean, I'm willing to bet anybody who met you going back 5 years ago or 6 years ago, what have you, would have said, what a great guy. But now you're just saying as well with regards to the negative self-talk you had there. What do you reckon about this? We talked about sort of getting to a level where, okay, I'm going to make a change here. But what do you reckon if I said that there was some impact when you have the realization that no one's coming to help you?
Oh,
Like, to make that change. Would you resonate with that?
absolutely. Getting hit, like getting front stabbed with that. No one's coming to help, mate.
Yeah.
Right? For years, I was waiting for like a savior. I was waiting for
Jesus.
people that I knew, or
Yeah.
waiting for others to come along and give me this and give me that and pick me
Yeah.
up and pick me here and do this. And then it's just like, they're not coming, mate.
Yeah.
You know, they're not coming to help. No one's coming to help.
The cavalry's not on their way, man.
No. And it can be crushing, absolutely crushing. Like, especially when like your mind builds it up to be this, oh, don't worry, you know, Joe,
the adults will be here soon.
That's it. They're not coming. They're not coming, mate. Like, and everyone's in that boat to a certain extent. Very few of us realize that it's all on us.
Yeah.
And few of us realize, this took me a while to realize, if someone else has done it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not that special. It's been done before. Therefore, everything is achievable. You've just got to figure it out and figure it out yourself. It's not that hard. Some things are made purposely hard. Finance, law, tax evasion is easy. Some things are made. I could be in trouble here. This could be the last. It's tax time too, Paulie.
Yeah.
Some things are made purposely hard and seem, you know, they use this language and these descriptions to try and put you off, to make it sound hard. It's not that hard. You just got to persevere.
Yeah.
Find a way around. Someone else has done it. You can do it too. But yeah, when you realize the cavalry's not coming, oh, that's a tough day.
It's a tough day, but also here's the other thing. I think this ties in very much with regards to resiliency, because that moment you realize that the cavalry's not coming, or you are the adult in the room and you need to take control here, is that then you start thinking, oh, you have that big maybe meltdown moment and you think, okay, now I've got to crack my knuckles and get onto this. And I think when you build yourself up from there, I think that's when we start having that we start building resiliency, because resiliency doesn't come through easy times. It doesn't come through handouts. It comes through, you know, being upside down in a gutter somewhere and trying to rectify, figure out what's your head and what's your feet, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing is, here's the other thing. It's like, if you've done this type of thing before, you start developing that deep self-confidence, that beautiful, beautiful self-esteem that I've been through stuff before. I can deal with this. You ain't going to do nothing to me no one else has never done, you know? That's
right. Write it down. If you do something you didn't think you're going to be able to do, write that down and refer back to it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Going through doing hard things purposely. That's why I get up, flog myself most morning. It's been such good times being on holidays. There's no assault bikes here. I can't flog myself in the morning. I just have coffee and relax. I can't wait to get back to it though. But that's one of the reasons why I get out of bed first thing in the morning, have a coffee, jump on that assault bike at home in the garage and smash myself. I know it's coming. I don't want to do it. Once I get off it, it's like, sweet, there's the hard part of the day done.
Yeah.
You know, and what got me to that was an analogy of, if you imagine that every morning you get up and there's a person with a gun to your head and you have to eat a live frog or something horrible. You've got all day to eat it. Doesn't matter when you eat it. And then you get to go into that. If you don't eat it by midnight, bang, he's going to shoot you. Why would you wait and put yourself through all that stress all day? The frog, first thing in the morning, you've got the rest of the day to relax. Get up and do it again. The hardest part of my day, if I get that out of the way before I even leave the house in the mornings, what else can you throw at me?
Yeah.
I can do that. I can beat it. Doing hard things, building resiliency is a good step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, I have a question for you. This should be a good one for you that I've just thought of. Entrepreneurs famously do things by themselves. They're out there alone. Yeah. How do you build, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it can be pretty tough. Sole trader is the same thing. in my views, very similar views, business owners and sole traders and entrepreneurs. How do you find a community when you're out there by yourself? How do you go about finding like-minded people to lean against in tough times?
Well, let's differentiate first between sole traders, business owners, and entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur, we might consider an entrepreneur somebody who starts and builds a business, and maybe they employ a lot of additional people, which I would say would be different to a sole trader. And business owners could be bricks and mortar, it could be consultancy type things as well. So these are terms that could be quite differently defined. I would say an entrepreneur would be different to a sole trader in the fact that they would probably have a fair amount more headcount, if I'm going to be quite generic here. But also, here's the thing. You might think that entrepreneurs do it themselves, and maybe there'd be the inspiration, the driving force behind it. But what they will do is they will employ good people. They'll employ good people to support them on their journey. They may well be the figurehead. They may well drive the marketing, the selling, be the face of the business, but they will absolutely have good people with them. And that could be people that they employ to do the process-driven work. It might be people that they outsource work to. It might be consultants that they bring on for expertise in certain areas. And there, I think you can draw a lot of inspiration from those people that you bring on, and that you can go out and look for. I think as a sole trader, if we were looking at somebody who was starting out as a sole trader or wanting to become an entrepreneur, I think that the difficult time is when you're starting out, you don't know anybody, you don't necessarily have huge financial budget to be able to go out and recruit world-class, skill sets. So at the most basic level, I think there's a couple of options. The first thing is, what I do is I've got two different groups that I pay money to every single month that I associate with. And there's two groups. One is a Melbourne-based senior level decision maker group that we have dinners, we have webinars and stuff like that that we're involved with. And then there's another group that I associate with who are all, I would say, guys trying to build better lives. If we're going to be quite broad about it, there could be a lot of different areas there. But I pay money every single month, or lump sums if I can get that deal done, to associate with those people. So I pay to be able to associate with those type of people who are supportive, forward moving. And I think it's a similar type of situation to paying to go to jiu-jitsu. I think a lot of people would pay, pay to, on the outset, if you say, I pay my subscriptions to go to jiu-jitsu, people might think, oh, you're going there to learn how to separate a man from consciousness or limb, okay? And yes, that might be part of the process, but the other thing is I like to do it because, that's firstly good. It's good to learn that type of stuff. Secondly, it's good health. It's good training. But the biggest thing for me, man, is the community and the people that we associate with. And maybe we're very lucky to have such a phenomenal group like Rise to work with, but it's the people there, and because my background, the story that I came over here with, I didn't know a lot of people, and then obviously what happened with the relationship and stuff like that. And you sort of pretty much by yourself. I knew, you and Flace, a couple of other friends, James and what have you. But in this area, I wanted to start building more of a community. And my God, those people that we associate with, that we, share blood, sweat, and tears with, those are some phenomenal people. So I think people think you pay for one thing, but you get so many other things with that group. And I think also when I'm paying for subscription to these other groups, I think that people think that you pay to get training in those particular areas, and maybe that's accurate, but I'm also paying for community. I'm paying for people that I trust, who I believe to be of good character, to get their opinions on certain things. I pay to get to know people in location. So if there's, particular opportunities in the Melbourne area that might suit me, or I might be able to pass on to them, then I want to do that as well. So paying for it is one of the approaches. Now, there will be people listening to this who might think, well, I think I've got a particular skill set, but I can't afford to pay, money on the regular. And that's perfectly normal. I think we all start there. My best suggestion would be on that is to buy yourself audiobooks. Buy yourself audiobooks. If you can't afford audiobooks, then then get and listen to podcasts. You can get an internet connection and you can listen to a podcast by people that you aspire to be like. I mean, Alex Hormozy straight away comes to mind with a lot of the stuff he's doing. But here's what I would say, cuz it's like, we want to get around people like that, but sometimes at the most cheapest level, the reason that we say that your life is dictated by the 5 people you associate with the most, or something along those lines, is because you're keeping that person and those types of people, what they're achieving and what they're saying and what they're thinking, you're keeping that going in your eyes and ears, which starts to condition your mind. And again, the whole thing starts with mindset, but whatever we're focusing on dictates everything else in life. If you and I are sitting talking about business skill sets, chances are we're going to have an earned advantage over our competitors who are not, just because that's our area of focus. And one thing that was very important for me when I was coming up was, what am I keeping in my eyes and my ears? Am I getting caught on YouTube watching things that are outraging me, or talking to my friends who are talking to me about stuff that's outraging me, or stuff that's way outside my area of control, just getting me wound up? Or do I start listening and reading books about people that I aspire to be like, or people that I want to emulate? What were their secrets? And if I can start reading that or learning about that, then I can start, and I've actually heard this used in a slightly different way, but I can start assembling what Napoleon Hill referred to as the board of the mind, or something like that. And he was talking about, Napoleon Hill, he wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich back in the day. And somewhere in that book, I think it was that book anyway, he spoke about appointing a board. So, a lot of businesses have got boards, and these are trusted people who are clever with what they do. They're smart people, and they're an advisory board. They'll provide advice. And Napoleon Hill was talking about somebody he interviewed who talked about the board of the mind, or something like that. And he was thinking about the people from history that he would want to appoint onto his board. And he would imagine, having read a lot of these people's writings and stuff like that, what they would say if he asked them questions. And I think that's such a beautiful way of, it might not mean that it would be exactly what they're saying, but you start to exercise and try to think like those people that have got the outcomes that you're after. And I think if we start doing that, I think phenomenal things come from that. I really do. But again, what are you putting in your eyes and your ears? Are you associating with these people? If you can afford to pay for it, awesome. Or even going and working for these people for free, or doing favors for them. If you're good with a particular thing, you do something for them, provide that free of charge. I know Hormozy talks about that as well. It's powerful stuff. It really is. And it's so much of that information is free now. You go back 20, 30 years, that was all kept behind. You literally had to go get access to these people, or go and spend weeks in the library.
That's right. Look, I cannot agree more with you on this. What you put in your eyes and ears dictates how you feel. And if you want to dig yourself out of a bad situation, or out of a situation into another one, start putting that kind of stuff in your eyes. Stick it in your ears. Like you said, it's free. It's on YouTube. Everyone's got internet and YouTube nowadays. Climb into it. One thing, I've been here in Bali for about a month, and I purposely, there's no Australian media channels here. I haven't watched any, tried not to watch any of the Olympics. Watched a little bit of the Olympics. I watched Snoop Dogg on the Olympics. He's always a laugh.
What was he doing on the Olympics? I haven't watched any of the Olympics, mate. Not even the wrestling.
He's a laugh. Snoop's there for, I don't know, he's like the unofficial ambassador for America. And he's hilarious.
Fantastic.
He's a laugh. But there's been no media here jamming whatever their version of events is down my throat. I've purposely not, or very, very, I won't lie, very small amounts. I've done checkups back home to see what's going on and whatnot, but my social media doesn't have a lot of the news and current events going on, and it's been a breath of fresh air.
Absolutely, 100%.
What happened about a month ago? All the Microsoft went down, or there was some big crash or something. Didn't affect anything here in Bali. Very, very, life went on.
Yeah.
So, but from what I could tell over there, it was, doomsday. Last week, the share market was crashing. Everything's coming to an end. The world's coming to an end. sun shining out here, swimming pool, like it's what you put in your mind. Yeah, it's just
Absolutely.
what's going on, what you surround yourself with. So the bad bits you want to keep going in, that's what's going to come out, mate.
What would you say if somebody said to you, well, you're just being naive, cuz you're just being naive? If you're, because I took both barrels from someone at one stage where I said almost those exact words. I said, don't, what were the words? I said, don't watch the news. And I was talking to a team of people. I was saying, don't watch the news because it was just outrage and the economy was screwed and what have you. And I got both barrels, and I won't actually repeat what was said, but it was words that effectively, and this was via a webinar as well. It was words that would have you in a lot of trouble. Okay. And I was then told that by me saying, don't watch the news and just keep good things going in your eyes and your ears, that effectively I was telling people not to be informed. What would your take be on that?
Well, who's informing you? Who's
the news, of course.
The news, yes, exactly. And they've always told the truth, far out. I look at it this way. It's like, I don't really follow politics, right? It's not really my cup of tea. Most of that's out of my control. Yeah, I can go and vote. I can give my 2 cents worth, but the rest of it's out of my control. Why am I going to waste energy on that? I've only got a certain amount of energy today, especially now that I'm over 50. Got to watch myself. So there's only certain amounts that I can control. That's way outside my control. Stressing about Bitcoin, stressing about the markets coming down, riots overseas, and what Snoop's doing at the Olympics. It's out of my control. I got to try and focus most of my energy on what I can control, what I can influence, and the rest is what it is. If you want to be informed by the media or your particular source of information, more power to you. Go for it, man. You stick that in your ears. Happy for you. Good luck. I hope it takes you good places, because that's where the stuff that I'm sticking in my ears is taking me. I'll see you there.
Yeah.
That's what, I don't know. You can go really conspiracy with it. You can say who owns the media. Who's paying that person to tell you that?
Yeah.
What are their motives for doing that? You can go all the way down that spiral. Or you can choose not to and stick some learning in your ears and have a bit of a target on the next 6 months of what you're doing.
Yeah, I really believe this, man, and it's that the more that I think people so underestimate the impact of what they put in their eyes and their ears. For real, I think we reckon, no, it wouldn't impact me. It wouldn't impact me, but I think it's stuff that we underestimate how powerful this stuff is. It's like, who was it the other day was talking to me about, he was getting upset about the adverts on YouTube.
Oh, really?
He refuses to pay subscription for YouTube, okay? and because of that, he's got to put up with the ads. And I said, well, have you thought about paying for the subscription? He goes, no, I'm not going to pay for the subscription. And I said, okay, so you're going to have to put up with the adverts then. And he goes, well, no, I've got a secret strategy. I said, what's the secret strategy? He goes, I just won't buy any of those products that have been sold in the advertising. And I said, so do you take a note of all the adverts that come up? Which particular brands? You're saying no. Well, how do you know what brands have you seen in the last week? And he reckons he watches a lot of YouTube. I think he mentioned one brand name. So everything else is just seeping in there, seeping in there.
Or you could do what I do and accept the fact that my phone that's sitting over here is listening to me. Now, I can tell it. I can start talking about what I want. It'll bring me the ads I need. See? Reverse marketing strategy. I don't even have to move. It's going to bring it to me. I can buy one and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, that's covered a few things. Anything else you want to mention? Look out. Silence.
Yeah, I think actually just the one thing I'm going to say, and this is going out for anybody who is starting out a business. Something to be aware of. And I think that a lot of the time people are They wanted to build a brand, they wanted to build a business, which is fine. But just know that what you post on social media and what you put out there, my best suggestion is make sure you're consistent with what you do, because I think that there are there's some people I know, some people that I'm, that I follow and what have you, and, haven't interacted with for a long time, but they're starting up businesses and I know they're getting no traction, but they're putting stuff out that is so off brand for who they really are. It's just absolutely mind blowing. So they say they're projecting one thing, but they're acting in a very different way. And I think just a heads up on this, because there's a few people I know getting, my understanding is, very, very little traction. Although they've been working at these businesses for a while, they're getting very little traction. And my estimation is, because a lot of the stuff they're putting out there is how they want to be perceived or want other people to perceive them. But their actions go against what they're putting out there, which is quite interesting. And I've got to say this as well. I mean, we all want to be seen in a certain way, and I get that. I really, really get that. But here's the thing. I think people's bullshit detectors are way better than what we give ourselves credit for. I really think, and I think we can tell when people are aligned. I think we can tell when people are saying things to try and evoke a certain profile of themselves. And I think we can tell when it's genuine and when it's not genuine. Okay, I really, really believe that. And I think that people's bullshit detectors are that good that if they pick up alignment, they will interact with it positively. If they don't, it'll repel people. And what I mean by repel people is, I'm not going to do business with you. And they probably wouldn't say it to you like that, but you can see it. You can see it if you're posting stuff on social media and you're getting zero traction. Maybe it's off brand. Maybe it's some of the other people not interested in, what have you. But if continuously people are not positively interacting with what you're doing, you might want to make sure that you are truly being aligned with what you are, with who you are, how you feel, and not just the sort of the desire to be seen in a certain light, because I think I think it's a trap. I think people can tell when you're aligned, you can tell when you're not. And if you're saying one thing but doing another, then people can pick up on it, and that would give me a lot of cause of concern if I'm going to invest money in somebody or work with somebody that I didn't feel was aligned with what they were doing. I really need that, or who they're portraying.
Exactly. Me and you have talked about this quite a bit. Being honest and transparent, and not just posting stuff on social media for the sake of putting stuff out there.
Yeah. And just trying to be seen in a certain light, which is, if you're trying to be somebody else, people pick up on it, and it's got that ick factor, ick, not it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, making sure that, if you're building a brand, it's similar to what we just talked about. If you're building a brand, or you're building what you want to become, you've got to sit there and have a good think about what that is. Leave the other stuff alone.
Yeah.
Focus your energies where you can.
Yeah.
And get after it.
Yeah. And I think a genuine desire to help other people, but I don't know. Yeah, not when it's ego based, not when it's ego based. And I think people can tell very quickly. I think people can tell very quickly. But anyway, I can sense a whole nother rant we can get onto, and I know you're on holiday, so there we go.
Look out. Paulie, as always, wisdom out of you, and appreciate your time, even when you're crook.
I appreciate your time, brother. You're the one on holiday, man.
Oh, there's a whole heap of swimming out there to be done, and sunbathe, and eating some food and stacking on some more kilos so that I can break those off when I get back. But always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback.
Absolutely.
Positives, negatives, what you like about us, what you don't. It all gets taken in. We appreciate everything, because we're just out here to try and spread some value. And if you have any feedback for us, not hard to find us. Chuck it on the social medias, ask us a question, send us a message, whatever. Appreciate you watching, appreciate your time. Paulie, appreciate your time. Go and get yourself better. I don't know how you're going to do that. Going to go for a roll or try and sweat it out?
I can't make other people sick as well, man. Plus, I probably have a heart attack if I'm in the States.
Why don't you have some whiskey? Apparently, it's either a decongestant.
Did you see that?
According to a Google search, that
you do a Google search, it's good and bad, even without scrolling. It's like we're in trouble for starters, mate. We're in trouble for starters.
I know. Just mix the whiskey with some tea and lemon and some honey, and you've got it all covered.
Oh, mate, there's that Kiwi ingenuity for you, eh?
Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic, brother. Appreciate your time, yeah?
Appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Take care,
legend. Bye. Cheers, mate.